Hello, sports fans. This is the Bookmaker Podcast with Art Eftekhari, a.k.a. Mr. Bookmaker, your source for the sports betting industry 24/7. Sit back, relax, and listen as Mr. Bookmaker highlights what's happening right now in the world of sports. So, without further ado, here's your host, Art Eftekhari.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? Welcome back to another edition of the Bookmaker Podcast. I'm your host, Art Eftekhari. Really glad that you can join us. And before we get started, get to our website. You know the address, bookmakerinfo.com. That's www.bookmaker-info.com. You know the deal. We got the links to all the best European, Asian, and United States friendly bookmaker sites, and our bookmaker guide is available for you to download. So stop wasting time, hurry up, and download it. Before we get to our A to Z sports betting lingo, make sure you check out our blogs that are available. Patrick knows his American sports, and Dan, of course, is the man for cricket. And also, don't forget to check out the Mr. Bookmaker football blog, or soccer, depending on where you are in the world. Next, before getting to our A to Z sports betting lingo and our main agenda, I would just like to make the announcement that I will no longer be doing the Bookmaker Podcast. And it's been a lot of fun doing this, but I've made this decision. So I will be on for a few more episodes, and I would just like to take the opportunity to thank you all for the support. I really appreciate all you listening and tuning in to the Bookmaker Podcast. So with that, let's move on now to our A to Z sports betting lingo. Now, what is our concept for today? It is a tipster. Now, what is a tipster? Well, a tipster is a person who gives or sells to bettors his estimate of likely winners of a race, game, or event, also known as a tout. So like I said, don't forget, our concept is tipster. All right, moving on now. It is time to go to one of my favorite bookies. And you know what, to be honest, for this edition, I'll be visiting basically my three favorite bookies pretty much. First one, 10bet. You know the address, www.10bet.com. All right, it is time for the 2019 Asian Cup. All right, now this tournament is due to start in the first week of January 2019, obviously, and it will be hosted in the United Arab Emirates. This will be the first time in 22 years that Asia's biggest tournament is hosted in the UAE. Now, one thing to point out, this tournament will feature 24 teams for the first time ever. Let's just say that the Asian Football Confederation has decided to follow suit of UEFA, for the European Championship. Since 2016 was the first time the European Championship had 24 teams. We know FIFA has decided to be silly as well by making the World Cup a 48-team tournament starting in 2026. Who knows, maybe it might even start that way in 2022. Anyways, not trying to get too much off topic, but yes, the Asian Cup will feature 24 teams for the first time ever. Will it be watering the tournament down a bit? Well, of course it will, but that's a whole nother can of worms, so let's get right to it. So like I was saying, 24 teams will be participating in the 2019 Asian Cup. So who are the favorites to win? Well, not a surprise that Asia's Big Five are the favorites. First, you have Iran, 4-1 favorites. South Korea, 9-2. Japan, also 9-2. Australia, 11-2. Saudi Arabia, 9-1. The host, United Arab Emirates, 10-1. All right, now looking at these teams, which one do I think is really, the favorite to win? Well, it's tough to say because Australia are the defending champions, having won it in 2015 when they were the hosts. Japan, basically out of the Big Five, has been the most successful at this tournament since the year 2000, having won it in 2000, 2004, and in 2011, a team that is definitely a force to be reckoned with. But what about Iran, the top-ranked team in the Asian Football Confederation? Yes, Iran has gone to the last two World Cups, but when it comes to the Asian Cup, there has been a long drought. The last time Iran won the Asian Cup was back in 1976. This has been a long drought, and those diehard Iranian football fans are just hoping that this drought will finally come to an end. And of course, I'm hoping the same thing. As for South Korea, the second favorite here, according to the bookies at 10bet, well, South Korea just, has come close. They are one of the best teams in Asia, but they're not as dangerous as they once were. Now, what about teams like Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates? Well, Saudi Arabia has not been as dangerous as they once were. As for the United Arab Emirates, well, they are the hosts. Yes, they're going to have the home field advantage, the support of the home crowd. Who knows, probably even have sometimes the support of the referees, but not going to get into that. All I know is get to 10bet.com as soon as you can. Place some wagers on who you think is going to win the 2019 Asian Cup. And if you feel like going for the 1,000 to 1 outsiders, those teams are Philippines, Palestine, India, Turkmenistan, Yemen, and Kyrgyzstan. You never know what could happen in this tournament. Either way, get to 10bet.com as soon as you can. And before we continue, like I said before, get to our website, bookmakerinfo.com. That's www.bookmaker-info.com. You know the deal. We got the links to all the best European, Asian, and United States friendly bookmaker sites. We got tips on how to register, bet, and withdraw. The bottom line is our bookmaker guide is available for you to download, so stop wasting time. Hurry up and download it. All right, let's move on now. Back to our main agenda. Now I am at William Hill. That's www.williamhill.com. And I'm in the mood to check out some odds for boxing. Yes, I hope you're in the fighting mood as well. A big fight coming up on the 15th of December. Saul Alvarez against Rocky Fielding. All right, well, we know who Saul Alvarez is, but Rocky Fielding, of course, from England. He seems to be a big up-and-coming name. Let's see what the bookies at William Hill are thinking. If you think Saul Alvarez will win, the odds here 1 to 25, 33 to 1 for a draw, 8 to 1 for Rocky Fielding. Are you in the mood to place a wager on the underdog? Well, maybe you are. Get to William Hill as soon as you can. You have other wagers available, as in who will win in what round. If you think it's going to be Saul Alvarez in round 1, 14 to 1. I mean, what about if you think it will be Rocky Fielding in round 1, 100 to 1 odds. A lot of fun here. Maybe you think it'll be Saul Alvarez in the 12th round, 22 to 1. Hard to say. What about the method of result? Do you think it'll be a Saul Alvarez victory by knockout, TKO, or disqualification? 2 to 9 odds there. What about Rocky Fielding to win by KO, TKO, or DQ? 12 to 1. So like I said, get to williamhill.com as soon as you can. And if you think the fight will go the distance, 10 to 3 odds. 1 to 5 for no. I'll say it one more time. William Hill, that's www.williamhill.com. Like I said before, hope you're in the mood for some boxing. Okay, moving on now. Where am I? Earlier I mentioned how I'd be visiting basically my favorite bookies. Well, if you've been listening to the Bookmaker Podcast for a long time, you probably know what's coming. Yes, I am at Paddy Power. That address, www.paddypower.com. Right now, I'm really in the mood for referendums in the United Kingdom. Now, what is the hot topic here from Paddy Power? How about the date of the next Scottish referendum? I mean, are we going to be witnessing history? Will Scotland declare independence from the United Kingdom? Well, let's stick to one thing at a time. Let's say the date of the next Scottish referendum. If you think it'll be 2022 or later, 1 to 5 odds. What about the year 2020? 8 to 1. 10 to 1 for 2019, 12 to 1 for 2021, 50 to 1 for 2018. Well, time is running out in the year 2018, so I would be very surprised if there would be a Scottish referendum that quickly. But, who am I to make these judgments here? All right, what about the next Scottish independence referendum result? If you think the vote will be against independence, 8 to 11 odds. If you think it'll be for independence, 10 to 11 odds. All right, some very interesting things going on here. And I'm not stopping there. What about the possibility of a Welsh independence referendum before the year 2020? If you think no, the odds here 1 to 40. If you think yes, the odds here 8 to 1 for Wales to have an independence referendum before the year 2020. Like I said, this could be history for us to witness, for those who are big on history or just love learning and reading about politics, get to Paddy Power as soon as you can. That's www.paddypower.com. And with that, everybody, it's time to wrap up this edition of the Bookmaker Podcast. Really do appreciate the support. Like I said before, get to our website, the address, bookmakerinfo.com. That's www.bookmaker-info.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Patrick knows his American sports. Dan is the man for cricket. And like I said before, these will be my last few episodes of doing the Bookmaker Podcast. It has been a lot of fun, but I will just let you know that if you still want to have some insight from me, well, this is probably the first time I'm mentioning this. Well, maybe it's a little surprising, but the Mr. Bookmaker football blog, well, I've been writing those blogs this entire time. So, if you really need insight involving the world of international football, you know where to go, especially if you're crazy about UEFA Nations League. I'll also be covering other top international football tournaments. That's it, everybody, for this edition of the Bookmaker Podcast. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Bookmaker Podcast with Art Eftekhari, a.k.a. Mr. Bookmaker. Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, please show some love by subscribing to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher. Till next time, this is Mr. Bookmaker over and out.